actually in motion now, heading to one of 3 tire distributorship locations in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area. Actually, there's 4 of them, but most of the orders that I have seen on apps in this immediate market comes from 3 of them. And I'll just say like this order is going to pay $27.58. I've seen this order pay as much as $30. I've seen this order pay $28 to this particular location, depending on what the app is. And that's something what happens is once you start working apps the way I do and others do, you begin to remember certain things. And I'll just leave it at that. Other than noting that I'm very much a numerically minded person, and so I'll remember numbers probably before I remember people's names. But then after a while, I'll remember names and places as well. Moving on. So I'm starting off my day with a very nominal and perfunctory opportunity. But the reason why I am doing this segment of the Gig Geezer is really to answer some questions. Now I've done a previous segment on the Gig Geezer, and this is the screenshot on which I went into some detail about trying to keep your van busy. And so I've been asked about, well, what apps? Are you working apps? Are you working load boards? I'm working every goddamn thing possible. And the reason being is that you have to do that in today's grind, in today's hustle. I don't think that you can work any single or even 2 go-to apps and to make the money that you hope to make, you aspire to make, you plan to make. Now, I'll just share this again. When I started in the gig economy back in September 2016, I started using a 2009 Ford Taurus with 176,000 miles, and I worked Uber and Lyft. In 2018, in fact, it was weeks after my having hip replacement surgery, I added the Roadie app. And the reason and how I found out about the Roadie app, there is a driver, a Uber driver, who happened to mention something about Roadie in one of his Facebook posts. And I'm like, I'm gonna look into this. And then I saw that Roadie was an opportunity to make money by delivering various things. And so I've been on the Roadie app active since October 2018. And as I mentioned, it was less than a month after my having hip replacement surgery. In fact, no sooner, once I was cleared to drive, which is 3 weeks afterward, I was on the app. In fact, my very first, if memory serves me correct, my very first deliveries on the Roadie app was from the Columbia Airport out to Florence. And back then, a Florence gig paid anywhere between $68 and $80. Now that same gig might pay $35, maybe $40. It pays much less than what it was 5 years ago. Now, again, going over the history, I added Roadie in October 2018, and then I came on with Amazon Flex in November 2018. I knew about Amazon Flex earlier in the year because a Lyft customer of mine happened to tell me about, because he lived in Charlotte, he told me about Amazon Flex up there, where you get paid to deliver a route of packages to homes and businesses. And I'm like, well, that might be something I'd look into. Well, at the time, I found out through Amazon Flex that they were not in the Columbia market. But when I went back in there in November, they're looking for drivers, and I got on within a week, within a matter of days, I should say, not a week, but a matter of days. And so the Columbia warehouse opened in October, also in October 2018, or if not to October 2018, the beginning of November 2018, and I was in on the second wave of drivers that were brought on. And so months later, I saw drivers, I saw some of the drivers carrying GH bags, which I heard was Grubhub, and then I heard people talk about DoorDash, and then I heard some people talk about an Instacart. But what caught my attention though was the red bag with the D on there, and that was DoorDash. And so I got on with DoorDash, but my experience with DoorDash in the beginning was horrible. And as I've shared, my driver rating was a 2.33 after my first 3 completed deliveries. And then it took me damn near 100 deliveries, almost a full 100 deliveries to get my rating over 4.2, which is the minimum cutoff, or you may be deactivated for a low driver rating. And then it was almost 500 deliveries, or right at about 500 deliveries, before my rating got over 4.50. So I really struggled on DoorDash. Now I'm giving you all that history to let you know that, hey, it didn't start out with me just killing it. It didn't start out with me making $100 in a day. Now I did make $100 at a time doing roadie, and also with Uber and Lyft. My minimum expectation was about $100 a day. Although there were days in which I did set a goal of making 200 in a day, or 250. In fact, my best day working Uber and Lyft was $250 plus. And I mean, I worked my ass off that day because it was a football game day. And back then, we're talking 2018. From 2016, actually from 2014 to 2018, there were like 6 or 7 weekends in a year in Columbia where you could really try to make some money. And that was on football game day with the Maine University and their football program. I mean, they bring in they pack 80,000 win or lose. And back then, a ride that may take 5 minutes during the week, that 5-10 minute ride could actually earn you anywhere between $20 and $50 or $60 with the multiplier. So again, all this history is just trying to get you to understand that, or at least to see the answer, that I work a lot of apps in addition to now incorporating load boards for me to make the money that I've been making. Now, if you see here on this, as you see here on this screen recording, that is the money that I have made at least through yesterday, April 26, 2023. That's for 2023. I've made over $29,000, and I'll probably be very close to $30,000 by Sunday night. And that puts me on pace to make about at least $90,000 this year. Now, that is the type of improvement that I've been looking to make, having made the transaction for this Sprinter/cargo van. Now, every market is different, and so I can't say that because you get a Sprinter/cargo van, you should step your game up to where you're pushing 90, 100,000 in a year. My goal is actually to make 100,000. So I need to find more ways of bringing in more money. As I've shared, I'm trying to get to a point where I'm showing where I'm making 100,000 so that I can get into the commercial money. But the way I'm hearing the financial markets are going, I might need to just make that type of money so that I can pay off on the things that I have leveraged to try to get started with this Sprinter/cargo van operation. Now, hopefully I'm answering questions. And by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment, The Get Geezer, and any other segment, The Get Geezer, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Now, I've only mentioned a few apps. There are many apps out there. The reason why I'm not going into any exact specifics of apps, because I'm talking about those that are relevant in my market, the ones that are available in my market. For example, Drop-Off is not in my market. GoShare, that's not in my market. So why am I going to talk about that? Okay, unless I use a Charlotte address, it's not relevant to me at this time. Roadie is relevant to me. Point pickup is relevant to me. Freight is relevant to me. You get where I'm going with this now. So some have asked, well, how do I get started in the Sprinter/cargo van business? Or I want to get started. How do I get my foot into this? Well, the first step really is to find out as much as you can. Do your homework. That's the first step. That's the first step. Do your homework, man. Yeah, I've mentioned how the idea, kind of the impetus of me doing this was my meeting a young guy in the parking lot of a Walmart. He's driving a smaller Dodge cargo van, the 4-cylinder version, and we get to talking. I was impressed by his business sense, and at least he told me at the time. And I know I've often said it to where, well, it was like definitively he was making 8 G's a month. But let's just say that he shared with me he was making 8 G's a month, okay? And I went with that because I'm making 6 G's a month. I'd yet to really I'd top 7 a couple of times, but consistently making 6 G's a month. And I'm thinking, hey, you know what? This can help me get to the next level. Now, one of the other reasons why I looked into getting the Sprinter/cargo van is understanding that the gig food delivery market, the gig food delivery sector, that shit is just beyond deluged. It's beyond hypersaturated. It's absolutely disappointing and depressing. I mean, I turn on the Instacart app, I turn on the DoorDash app sometimes, and the orders that I see come across, it seems to be, regardless of where you go, the orders aren't worth your while. Now, for whatever, I'm turning into the yard for this tire distributorship, and I'll be picking up, I don't know how many tires though, but I know that I'll be going to a local place within the greater Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area, and I'll be dropping off some tires at a tire shop. All right, so picked up the tires, as you see on this inset. Those are the set of tires that I'm picking up, those are the set of tires that I picked up. Now, some people may wonder why I don't show my pickup and drop-offs like some other folk. Well, I've answered the question before in that I don't have a second camera. I've not invested in a GoPro or a second cellular phone in which I could take footage of what I'm doing. Or I don't do as some folk, I'll set the phone somewhere else and show that I'm doing all this stuff. What I will tell you is this. There are people in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area who have met me in person, and they can tell you that I do put in my grind and I put in my hustle. In fact, I can tell you at least a half a dozen people whom I've met. In fact, I have approached some people about, hey, I got a YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. And then I've run into them on many of occasions. Like there's this one young lady, Miss Melody. Miss Melody, I see her and doing Instacart orders, and most times in a public supermarket, and we'll chat and so forth and so on. And so obviously, if I'm talking that I'm in a public supermarket, it's because I'm working an Instacart order. And then there's Rashad. I met Rashad first time on a hot July afternoon. We both were picking up order at a Jersey Mike. And then we met again. We're both working on catering orders outside of a Mediterranean restaurant, Tzatziki's, and it was PDQ. In fact, it was PDQ. And then we met again at we since run into each other all the time now. And then there's my man Steve. We met at a Walmart. We're both working in order. I think we were both working in order on an app. I believe he was doing a roadie, I was doing a point pickup. So there's people who know that I'm out here putting in my grind every single day. So I don't bullshit people with information and all. I just do the work. And so when I show what I show, I've done it. If I made what I've made it. I've made that money. But anyway, hopefully I'm giving you some ideas on how to make your Sprinter/cargo van make money for you. There's many other ways in which you can make money using a Sprinter cargo van. The mistake that some people have with this, and this is something that a lot of people talk about, is the fact that you get a Sprinter/cargo van and you hear about people hitting the road. They're hitting the fucking road now. They're looking for a way to drive from wherever they are to Timbuktu and back and making money driving their van. And it can be done. But yet there are, depending on how you want to go about doing it, there are things that you have to do to put yourself in that position. Now, this particular segment of the Gig Geezer, I went into rather extensive detail about having your authority. In this particular segment of the Gig Geezer, I went into how you start up a sprinter/cargo van business, the actual cost, the costs that I incurred to starting it up. Now, in this particular segment of the Gig Geezer, I showed where I made over $2,000 in a week. Now, there are people who say that they're making, $2,000-$3,000 a week driving over the road with a cargo van. But here's the thing: they're out 2-3 weeks at a time. Okay, I'm home every night, and I've shared this time and time again. I'm home just damn near every night. The last time I've not been home, that was because I actually did an over-the-road opportunity, and I spent the night in San Antonio, Texas. Well, guess who was with me? The queen of my life. So I was never away from her. Now, another reason why the queen of my life was with me is that she's a partner in the business. She's also a driver listed on the business, and also she is on the insurance policy. So she had every right to be with me on that trip. Okay? But again, there are many ways of earning money than just trying to get on the road. The problem on the road is that you've got to, the load rates are not what they are cracked up to be like maybe 2 years ago. And there are some really, there's some existing, there is some current YouTube content creator content that's being put out there that's really shameful. To be honest with you, it's really shameful how much some of these people are going for these loads. I'm talking about in the 50 to 60 cent range, and they're like, hey, hey, I'm out here. Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna knock your hustle. I'm not gonna knock your hustle. But I would say that each regional / over the road opportunity that I've had paid over $1 a mile. I know that seems to be like the bottom line standard these days. In fact, with loads that I tried to negotiate, even today, I did get it up to about $1.50 a mile today. But apparently, what's really happening is that some of these loads that you're seeing out there, they're saying partial, and for box trucks, they're saying that it won't fit in the Sprinter van. You know what? Here's what happened today. The one that I missed out on that was paying about $1.50 a mile, they're saying that the width of the pallet was 56 inches. It was 56 inches, and they're saying that we had a Sprinter van come up here yesterday, and they had it was too tight of it was a little too difficult to put in there for that van. I'm thinking that many places just don't want to deal with Sprinter vans, straight up, and so they will say that the dimensions may be wider than what your Sprinter van is capable of handling. That may be, it could be that the pallet is too wide, but a standard pallet, if it's a standard pallet, the son of a bitch is no more than like 4 foot wide, okay? And your wheel well, from wheel well to wheel well, is going to be about 54 inches, about 52, 53, somewhere in there inches. And then if you go beyond the wheel well, it's 60 inches, but it's got to fit within the wheel well. And if you see this particular segment of the Gig Geezer, I show how I put in my E-Track system. I'm thinking that they just don't want to deal with Sprinter vans, and so the way they say that we can't deal with a Sprinter van is too wide. Okay, the pallet may be the size of the pallet may be 7 foot. It can fit in my van. I've had up to 10 foot of shit in my van as late as yesterday. I had a big piece of equipment that was for this business that was doing demolition work. They said it was 8 foot long. It fit in my van, in addition to a heating and air condenser unit that was about 2 foot in length, at least in the bed. That's 10 foot, and it fit in my van. All that fit in my van. Okay, so I know I can handle that. In fact, I showed with my sprinter/cargo van. According to my thinking, though, I had 8 foot of track, plus another foot of track. So that's actually 9 foot of track, and it all fit. Now I said 10 foot. I know from door to right in back of me with the seat is 10 foot, but I've got 9 foot of E-track, and all that fit on the board, all that fit on my boards. So I guess you have to take it for what it's worth and just try to look for certain opportunities. The Sprinter van opportunities aren't many on the load boards. So what do? You work apps. You try to do other things to keep yourself rolling. That's what you do. And so that's what I'm doing. Again, I've made as of yesterday, over $29,000 in 2023. Strictly on, well, not strictly, but 98%, over 95% of the money that I've made this year has been on Sprinter/cargo van work. Okay? So I'm averaging over $7,000 a month. That's not where I want to be. I need to be over $8,000 a month. I need to be about $8,250 a month. So that means I'm about 80% of the way, at least 80% of the way there. And so I got to step it up in the month of May. In fact, by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Get Geezer or any other segment of the Get Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. For me, in the month of April, it's not been a good month. A lot of people are probably saying the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. But there may be some people having a really good month, and I'm glad for you. For me, I am off by a lot compared to what I did in March. My final numbers in March was just over 9 G's. Just over 9 G's. In January, when I went back and did all the final numbers, I was over 7,100. In February, I was just south of 7,100. And in April so far, as of yesterday, I'm over 5,800, and I'll finish over 6,000. But this is my worst month of the year so far, and really my worst month, I would say, working primarily out of this Sprinter/cargo van. The reason being, well, I can attribute it to me not putting in as much time this month. I've actually taken entire days off, and I've taken a few more half days than I normally have in recent months. The other thing is that some of the opportunities just haven't been there. But I would venture to say at least, I would say it'd be a combination of both. I'm off in all my numbers, as you can see here on this inset. All my numbers, just about all my numbers are off based on all the sources of income. But then again, there's been an improvement on some other sources of income. At least work that's been monies that's been earned through other opportunities. But again, overall, it's just not there. And if I look back over the years, April has always been like one of those drop-off months. March has always been a very good month, and then April is kind of a big drop-off, and then I kind of pick it back up again. And then, that's the way it is with any business. You're gonna have some really good months historically, and then you may have some not so good months historically. But I try not to harp too much even on the history of things, because each month that you work is a different month. May is next week. May could be a really, really good month for me. Don't know. All I can do is just go out there and try to make it work. And with that, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Get Geezer and any other segment of the Get Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane, and as always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.